Good morning, Osmonauts. This is Kevin with updates from the lab, and we have Eddie, Sonny, we have Loom, and Greg from Regen today, so it's going to be an exciting show. Please stay tuned. We'll start shortly.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eddie. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
Excited out of winter break.
I know it's kind of crazy that crypto is going to hibernate for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the developers will. I don't know about the speculators.
No, the speculators don't sleep.
The
But
DJs never sleep.
yeah, DGens all sleep with one eye open, I feel like. But I don't know if I sound how I sound, but I might have COVID. That's where I'm coming from right now.
Oh no.
I know
Terrible.
it sucks, but I'm on enough drugs that I don't really feel it. So I guess hat tip to getting triple vaxxed, and I don't know. I'm kind of a vax maxi. Like if I could get all of the vaccines, I'd do it. But just because I'm in New York. So anyway, I'm doing all right. I feel like I have a head cold, basically. Other than that, I'm good.
But yeah, I'm glad you're feeling okay. I hope it stays that way.
Yes, yeah. So am I. Like, yeah. As long as the drug, whatever, like the over the counter drugs seem to be working and numbing me to whatever the achiness of it, it's I'm grateful, knock on wood, that hopefully it doesn't get much worse than this. So we have Loom today, which I'm excited about. I'm worried about pronouncing Fabrice's name. I'm not sure if it's Fabrice.
Yeah, they're having some connection issues right now.
They
So.
are okay, great. So we'll eventually they'll correct me. And then we have Greg who's back, Greg from Regen, who had some really great points during the last show, and I think
He got rugged by Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Web Services crashed basically. So I'm very happy to have Greg back, and is Sonny here?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. How's it going, guys?
You good?
Pretty good. Kind of crazy that we're at the last updates from the lab of the year. It's a little it's kind of hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday there was 12,000% APR, and I was just like trying to sell my truck so I could put more in Osmosis.
Wow, that's a very unique situation that you were in. I was.
That's all part of me leaving my old job to come here.
Right? So you were a contractor?
Yeah, basically. I actually hurt my back and Osmosis launched pretty much like right when I was bedridden.
Holy cow.
I had nothing to do but degen and get this awesome airdrop. It was pretty life-changing for me, actually.
That's an amazing personal story and good timing.
Yeah. It was what do you call that? Cosmic.
Yeah, it's cosmic timing. So what I feel like, because Sonny wasn't here last week, there's probably some backlog of osmosis news, and I would love to hear what seems to be the kind of primary, I guess, big announcements.
Is that your phone?
I don't know what that is. I don't think it's me. I'll turn my mic off and see if that.
Cool. Yeah. So, quite a bit of announcements, I guess. Since it's been like 2 weeks. So yeah. Sorry, I couldn't make it last time. I was in the middle of a Epicenter episode, which went on for 2.5 hours. Oh, for anyone who doesn't know, Epicenter is this like the podcast that I run, and so yeah, this episode went on for 2.5 hours, which is like kind of crazy. But it was just such a good episode that we just kind of like kept going and going and going, and so yeah, that's sort of why I was late, couldn't show up here today, last week. But
You didn't miss much. Amazon rugged us. So.
Yeah, that's a great excuse. What can you give us just a little bit of a teaser of what the episode was about?
yeah, sure. So I mean, it was with Amir Taki. For anyone who knows, who doesn't know, he was a early Bitcoin core developer. There, and then he like he was pretty involved with the early founding of Ethereum, which people maybe don't know. He actually introduced Vitalik and Gavin, but and then like I guess if you search him online, what he's kind of he's like very anarchist. And if you search him online, what he's very famous for is like back in like 2015 or so, like he kind of just like disappeared off the face of the earth, and everyone was like, where did he go? Like where like no one's hearing from him, and then we find out like a year or two later that like he's like in Syria, like fighting ISIS and like helping the like yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and like apparently there's this like this area of Syria that's like the Kurdish area of Syria is called Rojava, and they were like building this like anarchist state there, and he was like helping them do that. And so yeah, he just has like such an interesting story, and then he has like all these definitely a very philosophical thinker, and so the episode is mostly like focused on that kind of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, check it out. It's probably, I think it should be live by now. If not, it should be up in like the next day or two. Well, it was so long that we actually have to split it into 2 episodes, so there'll be like part 1 this week and then maybe part 2 next week. Cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, sounds great.
So okay, regarding upgrades, I'm sorry, updates. The biggest thing I guess is the upgrades, which is so we had an upgrade last Tuesday. That was to update the chain and like get in a couple of things, and especially the big one that was like kind of time sensitive there was the clawback, and which also happened last week on Wednesday. And so we had like the little clawback party later that evening, which is kind of almost a little bit like an update from the lab of sorts. But so if anyone hasn't seen that, check that out. That's on YouTube. So yeah, thanks Kevin and everyone else who helped organize that.
You're welcome, and thank you for being there with Ethan Fry. That was really insightful and cool to hear about the origins of CosmWasm.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and so that the clawback sort of went through pretty successfully, where there were the amounts that were clawed back was like posted in it was tweeted out from this Osmosis account. So there's a large amount of Osmo in the pool, as well as large amount of ions in the pool, in the community pool now, which can be spent to do things. And I guess the first big proposal using those just got posted, but I'll get back to that in a minute. They're sorting out the upgrades stuff. So then it did turn out that then next day on Thursday we were Chihuahua Coin was trying to make its an IBC, bridge its tokens onto Osmosis via IBC, and we had realized that there was actually a slight bug in the upgrade where when we did the upgrade, we broke, and we accidentally broke the ability to do to create new IBC channels, which is kind of not great, obviously. So we actually had to go and do this like emergency upgrade to fix that. So I don't know. We had tested to make sure all of the existing IBC channels still worked, but somehow testing low, we didn't test that new channels were able to be created, which is definitely much less severity. We'd much rather if a new channel can't be created, it's not the end of the world. It's not like any funds are ever at risk or anything. But that just shows that okay, these are more things we have to keep in mind when we're testing new upgrades. And so and we basically did this emergency upgrade over the weekend where we did out on Friday. It's going to be a upgrade on Monday, and then the validators just have to everyone who's running a node basically just has to upgrade their node to the latest version of the software. And so we were able to do that successfully. Arguably, maybe we were a little bit too rushed on that. Some people were like, "Oh," some people were not pleased that there was this like emergency upgrade over the weekend for something that wasn't, that security critical. But it was fair. But it was a good fire drill to see how quickly we can garner the validators to do an upgrade in case there of an emergency that is much more security critical.
Everybody seemed to rally pretty quickly too. So.
Yeah, so okay, that's basically it for the upgrades. Yeah, the things went through. The upgrade went through on Monday, and so now we have the latest version running. And so now Chihuahua and Loom Network have been able to make their C connections. Then let's see. Okay. Now then I guess the last thing a big thing to talk about, which is the CosmWasm proposal. So anyone who was there on the clawback party last week will probably be aware of this, but Confio, which is sort of the dev team that built CosmWasm, sorry, it says connecting. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Greg, you're the only one who doesn't say connecting for me.
I can hear you, and
also
I could hear
me,
them. I can hear you, and I heard them say that they heard you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on in Spaces, but you're still coming through loud and clear, Sonny. Telling us about CosmWasm
and Confio, yeah,
and Confio and the new
this new proposal,
the governance proposal that's up right now.
Okay, it looks like a couple of.
Can you hear me, Sonny? Can you hear?
I can hear
Sonny?
you.
Yeah, can you hear?
Okay, so we can hear you. We can hear you, and they can hear me, but maybe you can't hear the other.
I love that this is always part of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, now it seems to be back.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
CosmWasm.
Confio and CosmWasm and Osmosis synergy. Go.
Yes. Yeah, sure. So Confio. So Confio is the development team that sort of built CosmWasm. So it just started by Ethan Fry, who worked with us at Tendermint way back in the day. He was actually first engineering hire at Tendermint. So after Jay and Bucky, he was sort of the first new engineer to work on the project. So he's been, he's as OG in Cosmos as it gets, basically. And so they built after they left Tendermint, he went and built Confio, which they built this CosmWasm thing. And CosmWasm has become this like the basis of the smart contracting platform ecosystem within like Terra, as well as like Juno and other chains, Secret Network. And so we at Cosmoverse in Lisbon, Fry and I were talking for a while, and we sort of got this idea of like, hey, how can we like, if we wanted to add CosmWasm to Osmosis, how can we like do that, but even like make it more like a custom version of CosmWasm that like fits the use cases of Osmosis even better. Some of the things that we wanted is, I think I've mentioned on this call in before that I'm not the biggest fan of CW20s tokens, which is like the token standard of CosmWasm. So, we talked about how do we make it work with like the native Cosmos SDK token standard instead of having two parallel standards. Other things include how can we like integrate the DEX into the AMM into CosmWasm better. So like make it very easy for transactions to interact with the DEX on Osmosis. Or another one would be like cool IBC related stuff with CosmWasm. So how can we like take the spot and TWAP prices from the DEX and like export them to other chains over IBC as like Oracle data. So like these are all like things that like Fry was like super interested in, and so he kind of offered like the way for them to sort of get a grant to help integrate a lot of this stuff, and so we were like very interested in that because this is an opportunity to like work with the team that actually built CosmWasm to get them like working with us on like creating custom integrations, as well as like just get them generally incentive aligned, where like like CosmWasm has basically created like tens of billions of dollars of value on like Terra, and like on Juno it's like growing as well, and it's like the Confio team didn't really get much out of the like explosion of their product on Terra. And so it's like this is an opportunity to like incentive align them with Osmosis, and like after they're finished with this initial integration, they're going to be working on building some DeFi products and on Osmosis using CosmWasm. So yeah, I think this is just going to be like the start of a really cool partnership.
That's exciting. That I definitely, in talking to Ethan and hear you, I wasn't clear about the notion of pulling Oracle data off of the AMM and being able to send that to other chains, and how that definitely opens up possibilities I have not been thinking about. So yeah, that's really I want to spin that out and see kind of how would that how would that change the user experience and the kinds of things that we can do with Osmosis. I look forward to exploring that more.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's awesome. CosmWasm. Does this mean that we can finally send UST out? I think that's like probably the number one question that's going to come out.
Okay.
If people will be able to finally send UST out.
I think that's an independent issue. That's mostly due to the way fees work on Terra is different than how they work on most Cosmos chains. So how fees work on Terra is it's actually based as a percent of the amount of UST you're trying to send. So instead of being this like fixed thing based off of gas usage, it's based off the amount you're trying to send. And this requires like the code to like calculate this is in they use their own library called Terra.js instead of Cosm.js, which is like what most of the ecosystem uses. And so we just haven't gotten a chance to integrate that into Kepler yet. And so that's sort of what's been the blocker on that. My suggestion to anyone who's like bringing it in with Terra, the solution is, you just have to, you probably want to have the Terra Station wallet, and you can import the same mnemonic into both Terra Station and Kepler. So it's not the best UX right now, which we'll get to fixing that. But yeah, basically, you can once you withdraw the IBC to Terra, then you can just start using it in Terra Station directly.
Nice.
That's sort of But what another Terra related thing that is a little bit more related, but is that we're so currently on this goes back to the whole native coins versus CW20, which is currently on Terra. We can bring over the native coins over IBCs, so like we can bring over Luna and UST and KRT, which is like the Korean won stablecoin, but we can't bring over their CW20 assets right now. So a lot of these things that are being built on top of Terra, like Anchor and Mirror and all these projects, it's hard for us to bring over those assets right now because just the way Terra did their upgrade, they didn't give their CosmWasm module access to their IBC module. So basically there's going to need to be like a technical an upgrade in order to make that happen. But we can solve the. So I've talked to Doe about this, and he's like in favor of like let's like test out the CW20 sends over IBC. Like let's test it with like Juno or something, and then if it works, he's like supportive of like upgrading Terra to make it happen as well. And then Confio said they can help with they'll be able to do it much faster than we can, so they can help just help us with making the PR to Terra to get them to their CosmWasm to be IBC enabled as well. So that would be really cool. So then, Terra will become even more integrated into the IBC ecosystem now.
I have a question about something you said earlier, Sonny, about the importing the same mnemonic from, I think you were saying, from Kepler into Terra Station. Is that so? Would that be, you said you would withdraw UST to your Kepler wallet, like from IBC, and then the mnemonic from the, I guess, the Terra channel in the Kepler wallet, would that like what is that exactly? Or maybe we need an article about this.
Yeah. So you withdraw from you take your mnemonic, the 12 words that you from your Kepler wallet, you just put it into the Terra Station wallet, and it should generate the same address.
Okay.
And so when you withdraw it on Kepler, that same address can just be used on Terra Station and should start working seamlessly. Yeah, I think I agree. I think maybe this is something that we need to like put out an article for that can help people like learn how to do it. And like, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I might have to add this to our docket for the community support DAO. I mean, we're already we're working with the marketing DAO and trying to keep up with these developments, so people there's educational materials and there's kind of instructive guides, and there's just a lot. There's a lot to keep up with, but it would be helpful, I think, for I'm assuming listeners would appreciate it. But that's great to know. I'm excited. I want to try that.
Sweet. I think that's basically sort of the main updates or like the big high level things. And then I'm really looking forward to this break because I just tweeted a little bit ago, but I have like messages for the last 6 months that it's been like so hard to get to, and I think I'm just gonna use this break to like try to respond to everything. I'm gonna like go through the last 6 months of messages and stuff. So if you messaged me and haven't DM'd you back yet, just I'm publicly committing to this, so that way I'm forced to
message him again though, so that goes to the top.
Oh man. Yeah, we're telling.
Don't make him scroll all the way through everything. It's Telegram is hell for that.
Oh gosh, if it's Telegram, yeah, that's a nightmare. I don't know.
I mean, that's my guess, right, Sonny? You're talking like a mix of messages spread across Telegram, Discord.
Oh yeah,
Signal,
what is
everything?
Message? Yeah, there's
Twitter.
like Telegram, Signal, Facebook. I still have like friends outside of crypto who I feel bad because I haven't talked to them in like months at this point.
Man.
So I feel like I should probably go reply to them. There's like so many platforms right now. I need to organize everything.
It's
I have
brutal.
5 email inboxes.
It's brutal. I'm in the same shape. I just like I feel like I'm about to declare bankruptcy on my email and just be like send a blanket email to everybody and just be like,
That's
sorry
great.
everybody, like email bankruptcy, I'm rebooting, you know.
Oh yeah, I have 53. Well, let's see. I have 53,974 unread emails, mostly spam, but and whatever. Apple
well,
or
it's crazy how the like kind of like diaspora of different messaging platforms that we're all using. It's a little overwhelming, honestly. Like I feel like
a lot overwhelming.
It's maybe like the downside of decentralization. I don't know. It would be certainly would be nice to have. I mean, I guess you have resilience, but I feel like people at this stage, if somebody wants me to like read an email, they'll send me an email and then they'll text me on 3 different channels. It'd be like, you need to read the email. I'm like, oh man, something's not working here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know if we're going to solve it in the next minute, but I totally agree.
Can CosmWasm fix that, Sonny?
Apparently not. Shall we bring
I
up?
think I need to get the Sunny Twitter bot, AI Twitter bot working again. Gotta see if I can train it to just reply to messages.
Oh yeah,
that's a great idea. Did you use GTP3 for the Sunny Twitter bot or GTP2?
That was GPT-2. When I did that, GPT-3 wasn't out yet.
So fun.
Jeez, now I got to go home and find out what GTP stands for.
It's the AI. It's like the open AI standard that Microsoft owns now. I think not so open.
Nice. Yeah, not open in name at least.
It's a good name.
Okay, well, Sonny, thank you for that marathon updates. A roller coaster ride, really, because I didn't even realize that there was that you guys did an emergency upgrade over the weekend, and I'm still trying to figure out why it's called Boron.
Oh, it's because we're trying to align the numbers with the elements. So the fifth upgrade was boron is element number 5. Now that we're on 6.0 over the weekend, I guess technically we're on carbon now.
Nice. Okay, I love it. Periodic table. We're on the 5th element, or we're on the 6th element. So
yeah.
Wait, so it was a breaking change. So you decided to do a full sort of like point upgrade, or is it 5.1?
It technically how we did it was it's technically a full upgrade because we said that like state breaking changes are major upgrades, API breaking are minor upgrades, and bug and like non-breaking are point releases. So technically, but it's sad that we're like, I don't know. I wonder if we're gonna run out of elements too quickly.
It's sad to leave boron so early.
Boron is just got there.
And helium never got to see the light of a main net, which is also kind of sad.
Well, maybe we have to cycle back through. I mean, I did see that TikTok video talking about what was it, like super massive elements beyond the 118, like where they're talking about like, neutron stars and stuff. Like, who knows if we'll be able to get into that territory, but we can always come back to one.
Yeah.
I do feel like we should shift to Loom and welcome Loom on the stage. I believe it's Fabrice, but and if they're not ready, we'll go with Greg. But please join us. Hit the microphone button, or if we can. What's up? Welcome.
Uh-oh.
Up. Okay, I'm seeing it. They went from muted to listener. I don't know how to turn. Sonny, do you know how to? Can you like send a request to the Loom?
Yeah.
Channel. Okay. while we're waiting, I will say that we have a date and time for the first, I say quote unquote, first community town hall with Osmosis on January 5th, Wednesday, January 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be there. Sunny will be there, and we'll be talking about the first 2 months of the community support DAO's existence. We might touch a little bit on the marketing DAO and what the next year is going to look like. So really looking forward. There'll be more details about precisely where that will be, but and we'll announce the date also outside of updates. But are you up? I see Loom is. We're still trying to connect. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we should switch. Greg, are you available? Can we?
I am here.
Okay, so let's go Regen now, since you're here and the speaker's working, and Fabrice or whoever's manning the Loom Twitter, please keep trying and feel free to oh wait, looks.
There we go.
I think I'm back.
Okay, all right, Greg, can you stand down? Can you chill for a second? Okay, awesome. 100%. Thank you. Guys, please, round of applause for Greg for just being a stand-up guy. And thanks for coming back. And Fabrice, please correct me. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, that's okay. That's the American way of saying it, so that's fine.
Okay, but what's the French way?
Oh, it's Fabrice.
Fabrice. I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Bonjour. And welcome. My wife is learning French right now, so I'm trying to remember what I learned in high school, and it's almost nothing. Un petit peu, as they say. But this show's in English, so please talk to us about Loom and tell us what you folks have been up to, and what Loom Network is about.
Yeah, thank you. So the Lum Network is about helping businesses create trust with their customers. So we do it in a pretty unique way. So we are not here to disrupt existing services. We are here to enable them. So we work with what we call trusted third parties that act as a middleman between retailers and consumers. And we enable them with the Lum Network blockchain technology to create transparency, to interoperate with each other, and to reward their users for doing actions and interacting with the brands. For example, the first use case we have right now is that people who leave review online basically never get rewarded and get anything, don't get anything from that. So what we do is we enable the third-party called skippers to put reviews on chain and to reward the users for putting quality content online. So this process is pretty straightforward. So it's like having the full traceability of the review. You know if it's been moderated, if it's been updated, and you know what the user got for leaving this review. And basically, we reward users that put a 1-star review the same way we reward users that put a 5-star review. It only depends of the quality of the content.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, I could definitely see how some brands would be not happy about that, but I can also see how it's gonna. That's a system that encourages trust more.
Yeah, and actually, brands they don't. I mean, brands and retailers they don't really dislike bad reviews because. A 1-star review with a lot of content detailing what's happening, what is wrong about the product or the service. Yeah. It matters a lot to the brand because it enables the brand to improve itself.
That's a good point.
So
yeah, it's a really good point.
But a 1-star review without any comments or with just an insult has literally no value. So it's like a 5-star review with no comment. Good for ratings, but nobody is gonna trust that because there is no feedback over the experience of the user. So what we want is we want to reward users for their time and effort in creating quality content online. Basically, that's a
great example.
So you mentioned, part of the goal is to work with these middlemen to do that. do you not feel that's a little bit against the ethos of like what most of blockchain is? And so I guess like what is this? Why does this use a blockchain? And like, how do you see it? Yeah, what's the purpose of doing this on a blockchain instead of like providing a centralized service for this?
Okay, because people are already doing this in a centralized way. And what we see, I'll focus on the review aspect because we have a huge use case about reviews right now, and so that can give a bit more color to my speech. They centralize the review processing, the review moderation process, and everything. So you never know when you leave a review online for now. You never know where it's gonna go. I mean, and I talk about reviews that are verified, like from users who made a purchase, not a free review deposits like you have on Google or Trustpilot. And so you don't know what will happen to this review. You don't know when it's going to be posted, if it's going to be moderated, or if it's going to be displayed at all at some point. So using the blockchain, what we can do is basically store all this process. We don't store the actual content of the review on-chain for basic regulations such as the GDPR. And so you can see what will happen and what happened to your review. And also you can, as a user or as a brand, you can see that the process is duly applied and that nobody is biased in this system. So that's the first goal, because reviews reviews conversions, they have been decreasing. People have less time and they have less trust in internet services and especially in reviews. So what we want to do is to enable the third parties to get back a bit of this trust, and it also comes with rewards. So for the moment, what we do is we reward reviews for the quality of the content. We do it in a very simple way at first. It's basically based on the length of the review, number of words, etc. The fact that you add an image or a video. But in the future, what we want to do is to use NLP and more advanced technology to qualify this content. And also to go to the point where we can reward users doing a kind of social proof mechanism based on other users' actions on this review. If it's helpful or not, if it will solve their issue or the question, or if they can, interact with the person who leave the review in the first place.
Okay, so I mean, I understand Sonny's question. I mean, I guess it's sort of an interesting. It does seem broken. I would just say that, like, if I go into, I'm going to use Amazon as an example, you go into one of these platforms, and a lot of the reviews will have like a qualification at the bottom that says like this person received a free product or something, in exchange for the review. There's some kind of, maybe it's a policy that requires that. Yeah, I think it's that does sort of feel like it's like, okay, so they got a free product. How do I know that means that they're gonna give it
the objective, right?
Yeah, an objective or accurate review. I mean, that part of it to me, it's like, whatever. We're human beings. Like, it's like Sonny's. Like, we all have a lot of thousands of unread messages. How many you read a few of the best and the worst reviews and try to average it out. But if there's some way that you can facilitate and make that process cleaner, I could see the utility of it. But yeah.
Well, so that's just the part about like the very specific process of storing content on the chain and having this whole process fully transparent. But the most interesting aspect is the reward part. So basically, brands are already rewarding or trying to reward users for their actions because they know that they need this incentive to have conversions when they request an action, right? But the issue for reviews, for example, is that if you pay users or if you do it in a kind of non-transparent way, if you just pay the reviews or you just pay some of the reviews, you basically enter the paid review category, and you cannot go. It cannot be displayed on Google or any major browsing area like on internet. So
Gotcha.
So this is the main issue, and the second issue is that some brands try to reward users with their own loyalty points or their own loyalty scheme. It only works for very large brands that have a strong point system and a recurring consumer base. But most brands cannot afford that because they don't have any form of loyalty scheme that makes sense to the user. So they offer Amazon gift cards. It's a pure loss of value. You basically tell your customer, please leave content online and go to Amazon right after. So for that, to solve that, we enable them to give crypto rewards. Since those rewards can go from 10 cents to $100 per review, this is like an incentive to put some effort in the content, and also get a reward that depends on the kind of product you purchase. Because if you purchase a product that costs like $10, you're not gonna get a $100 reward. But depending on this product, you can get very high reward. And the crypto aspect is more a gamification of this reward scheme.
Okay. I mean, I think, Ed, you have any thoughts on this? I'm not sure if you're...
Yeah, I just got reconnected.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Did you guys touch on, you have a partner integration January and February? Is that?
Yeah.
So yes,
we lost you for a second, Fabrice.
Connection issues with Twitter lately.
Yeah, speaking of Amazon.
Another great ad for Akash.
Yes, Akash, the unstoppable cloud. Fabrice, whatever you've been saying, we can't, at least I can't hear you. Maybe try to turn your mic on and off. Okay, I think
they got disconnected again.
Yeah, it seems like you may have got disconnected, my friend. Please come back. We'll be here, and we should shift to Greg. And if people have questions for Fabrice and or Greg at the end, we'll loop back around. They do have a major partner integration they were mentioning in January and February, and then they're also, I believe there is a live liquidity bootstrapping pool with Loom right now.
It's going on right now. Yeah, I just saw it.
Yeah,
it started right after Stargaze ended.
Yeah, that was pretty seamless transition too.
Yeah, it was fast.
Super cool. Super excited about the LBP function on Osmosis. Obviously, we at Regen Network.
You were the first, weren't you?
We're the first. You broke
the seal.
Bugged the Osmosis dev team, Sonny and Dave, and everybody were super gracious to kind of like wire that all together right as Osmosis was launching amidst all the chaos. So it was great to experiment with that.
When the Regen LBP launched, I didn't know what it was. I was like, I have no clue what this is. I was like kind of afraid of it because I was like, I don't know what's a liquidity bootstrapping pool. I had no clue. I've since learned more.
Totally, and it's such an interesting primitive, like an LBP, because really you're sort of like, you're not buying in really necessarily to establish a position so much, although that's maybe a part of it. You're really sort of like voting as a community on price discovery.
Yeah.
In a way, and so it's like it's designed in a way to sort of ape proof and bot proof the sale, so that as a community you can actually do a decent job of generating price that makes sense in some way. So it's kind of sophisticated and I mean I thought Stargaze did a nice job of writing it up. We did our best to write good blogs about it and like put up good graphics, but it is, as like just like any crypto economic primitive, you sort of have to like spend a little time, like somebody who walks in and doesn't understand proof of stake at the beginning and parameterized inflation or something like that. Like you have to sit with that for a little bit and think like, how does that make sense? And why does it make sense? And just understand. It's kind of like that. It's just it's a tool, it's a Lego to build
it takes some time to grok it and get used to it. And now that I've seen a couple of LBPs and I'm like, reverse Dutch auction. Well, which I've never participated in a Dutch auction, but I get the basics now that like the price is very high at the beginning and it settles at the end. And so yeah, that's
unless everybody sort of like thinks that unless everybody buys in and then it'll push up. And then it'll push up, and I've seen LBPs do that. So it's not, it's just it goes down to a set price over time as the pool balances itself, essentially, into 50-50 or whatever it's set at.
Yeah, the curve is determined by the I guess the wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah. Hey, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back. Yeah, so we were just talking about LBPs and how Loom obviously has an active LBP now on Osmosis, and we were going to.
Yep, and he's going great actually. So we're quite happy about the engagement.
Yeah, I see quite a bit of liquidity there.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good for. I think we are doing it for two reasons. First one is price discovery. We want the price to be as fair as possible for the market participants. And since the price is declining over time, everyone gets a shot at entering at pretty much the same value. And secondly, it allows us to create, since we didn't raise a lot of funds with our foundation, it allows us to improve the initial liquidity depth. So I think it's a good starting point, and the community loves that. We actually have fun and had fun simulating what will be the outcome. So now we are just watching and experiencing the whole process with everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like we've got a good encapsulation of what Loom does, and what at least this one major use case. And if people have questions at the very end here, we'll please chime in. We're going to shift now to Greg.
Do you mind if I have just 1 minute since I was cut off? I just wanted to add one thing.
Okay, was it the partner integration or something else?
Yeah, just the partner, because I was I was talking to myself.
You got silenced. No, it sucks.
Okay, I'll take 1 minute. I don't want to steal more time. No, it's just that in January we will start integrating in production the skippers use case. So basically, we have a couple challenges because the volume is huge. So we'll be processing about 3 to 4 million reviews per month on chain, and each review is about 2 to 3 transactions. So that is a lot of volume that is going to flow on chain, and yeah, we are preparing to work on that. And if we take this work and push it forward, we will definitely be one of the most active chain in terms of transaction volume. So I guess we'll have more technical challenges to face and to tackle in the future, but that will be interesting for everyone to see. And that's
super exciting. Yeah, that's great. We want transaction volume is good.
Yeah, it's a good way to kick off Q1.
Yeah, activity is great, and if it is really something that it stimulates a use case that people out there or shoppers and people that rely on these reviews, it really helps them. I think, yeah, why not be part of the engine that drives that? I'm excited about that. Speaking of the sort of liquidity, shoring up liquidity for the project, and kind of this partnering relationship between Osmosis and chains that are launching in Cosmos. Greg, can we hit? Let's dive into your
DAO-to-DAO grant.
Yeah, DAO-to-DAO grant topic. Let's go.
Yeah. So Prop 101 passed with some really actually fantastic engagement, which is super exciting. Seems like everybody in the Osmosis community is stoked for some, for some regen, and we're really excited about. There's sort of this theme, right, around the Osmosis and other decentralized communities owning their own treasuries and liquidity, and being strategic about deployment. And there's like a set of really deep reasons. There's sort of the altruistic reason, and then there's selfish reasons for the Regen community to want Osmosis to hold and to use Regen. And a lot of that was outlined in the governance proposal, so people can go read that and engage. But sort of fundamentally, I would say Regen is building sort of these new, you could call them DeFi 3.0 or refi, regenerative finance building blocks. We're building a system to originate what we call currently the first sort of set of assets are eco credits, like carbon credits, for instance, and want to be bringing those into a composable DeFi ecosystem. And obviously, at the heart of the composable inter-blockchain communication enabled, IBC enabled Cosmos DeFi system that we're a part of is Osmosis. And so we're really excited to find deep ways to partner to bring these natural capital assets into the DeFi ecosystem, and want to be sort of like anchoring mutual innovation, both on the tech side, but also on the idea side. And it's been fun, just like the forum post and also on Twitter, just sort of like reading the different community ideas of how to use those funds strategically, and what it looks like to sort of be investing in the mid and long-term viability of our ecosystem together. And in our case, obviously, that's, we're very mission driven as a network and as a community. We're really, aiming for nothing short of planetary regeneration and a complete reinvention of what money means, and connecting units of account and stores of value to public goods, to ecological regeneration in our case. And I think that sort of like provision of public goods also is something that really resonates deeply both with the Osmosis community and the larger Cosmos community, and the hub, etc. So that's a lot. That's a big word salad. So I'll pause and see if there's anywhere that you guys want to double click.
One thing I would say is that I thank you for sparking off a fairly active discussion about this 2 months ago. I think that is an example. We've had some situations recently with proposals coming on chain without any pre-proposal discussion. We don't have hard and fast rules about that, but absolutely the way that I think Osmonauts and investors in Osmosis, we really like to be able to discuss and, as you say, bat around ideas and try to figure out, how could we make this most beneficial to everybody involved. So thank you for coming at it that way.
Totally. And to be honest, we had some broad ideas about what we thought would be strategic usages, and actually the community generated some much better ideas, which I think is sort of a big plus in terms of the power of a decentralized approach to things like this. Like pushing the intelligence and innovation out to the edges. People really quickly, I think, saw hey, this shouldn't just be used for yield farming to sort of like incentivize people to ape into regen in the short term, because that actually isn't sustainable. This should be used either for sort of protocol owned liquidity, right? Or for mutually beneficial granting, or a hybrid of those two, or maybe even for Osmosis community to be purchasing and going long on these sort of emerging new asset classes and bringing them into the marketplace, and or some hybrid of those those are like the three branches that I generally saw people suggesting. And and Osmosis itself as a community sort of providing liquidity for the Regen Osmo trading pair, for instance, actually hadn't even been something that our community had thought of until somebody in the Osmosis community brought it up. So again, just like a super cool example of when you dig into forums and you have an engaged community that's thinking about things, really beautiful options emerge that you might not have thought of otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's one of that's kind of like to me, it's like the X factor of Osmosis and of like a healthy, invigorated community climate, is that we really don't know what the best ideas are necessarily. Like if the proposers and people who are trying to bring solutions to the problems of the chain are open-minded, it seems like there's really great possibilities out there. And I'm grateful that our community members are engaged enough to try and participate. Like I'm looking at I think it's Rami has this post, this is from like 2 months ago on the Regen discussion, where he's talking about where they're talking about the like not necessarily is like actual usage of the Regen network by Osmosis, something like a carbon offset for validator nodes. Like there was this idea,
Yeah,
I'm not sure
exactly.
Like these are super creative, like cool suggestions.
Which is a rad idea, right? So it's something that we've been working on, and there's a little bit of dev work still to go. But one of the things that's really exciting that Regen's going to have coming online Q1, fingers crossed, there's a few different engineering hurdles here, is sort of via IBC an automated offsetting, either the protocol level or the validator level. I actually prefer to think of it as, especially given the in this case with Osmosis owning Regen as a community, thinking about it at a protocol level and network level, I think makes more sense. So doing an emissions estimation, like and then offsetting those emissions. It could be block by block. It could be, or rather epoch by epoch, and probably would make more sense in the Osmosis way of thinking about things. But
epoch is how we measure time.
yeah, exactly. So, but it could also be, like quarterly or something. So everything gets summed and purchased. That's cool. I mean, because that builds, sort of like a mutual use case. It's both a way for the Osmosis community to sort of like gain sort of a brand advantage in the space. And I'm kind of constantly prattling on about, in the current reality, there's this competition between monetary systems, Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus, Osmo, Atom, Terra. Some of us are collaborating, some of us are competing. Obviously, all of us are in some way kind of competing against the USD world, fiat world.
That's the big Goliath, the banks.
That's like the final boss. Or it all sort of gets integrated. I don't know, Sunny. It'd be interesting to hear Sunny's thoughts on that. But I have just been sort of saying, like, look, at the end of the day, you can boil the competitive dynamics down to what system provides the most public goods for the least negative externalities, positive externalities, negative externalities. If I'm using this, do I benefit? Is it stable? Does it destroy the world a little bit? Does it destroy my community a little bit when I use it? Or is it building a world or a community or technology that I want to see? And so we as Osmo users, with our treasury, we can fund things like Confio building amazing open source CosmWasm tools, right?
Yeah.
Atom provided this huge public good halo, Like the atom created the conditions that allowed osmosis to be born. So there's
Yeah,
sort of like, so innately there's like a value there, right?
There's this
value.
crazy halo around atom that nobody ever talks about, because they're like, what's the utility? What's the utility? It's like atom enabled all of these things to flourish.
It created the conditions for all this to flourish. And so, you know, I'm sort of obsessed, right? I mean, part of the genesis of Regen is an obsession that I have around what does it look like for us to generate, you know, in social construction of money, what does it look like for us to generate that kind of a halo around currency like Regen that enables ecological regeneration, that enables action against climate change, that enables healthy forests and farms and oceans to be sort of like the byproduct of our economic activity, instead of something that's sort of like that we're sort of struggling around, right?
Yeah, that we're playing catch up, like, okay, we got to fix all this toxic waste here, you know, versus having it be kind of an integrated part of how we think of the whole, you know, financial social system, you know, working together.
And so if you're going to do that, it requires some form of, you know, sort of like proof of regeneration, right? Sort of like Bitcoin's proof of work, Regen's proof of regeneration. And that's a little bit more complex, right? Because you need to be able to monitor ecological health. And so the Oracle problem isn't sort of a deterministic math problem. We can use a state machine like a blockchain to anchor, you know, who is saying what about where, using what data and what methodology, and we can use it for a bunch of other amazing tools, incentives, game theory. You know, also in Regen's roadmap is actually going to be taking a crack at an order book style DEX, because we're going to have all these really small cap eco credits. And we sort of feel like the AMN model is not perfect for dealing with the kind of like very diversified credit marketplace system that's emerging. So that's another use case of the blockchain, right? That allows sort of the commons, the public infrastructure for this kind of ecological accounting to have a full stack between the, you know, ecological data and this process of minting a credit, where you're sort of gathering evidence and then minting a carbon credit that has all of the metadata, and then bringing it to market, you know, and then moving it over to Osmosis, moving it into other DeFi instruments. And sort of like being able to, I mean, eventually collateralize stable coins and do other amazing things with these units that represent ecological health in your community.
Yeah, you can have carbon neutral stable coins, you know, versus
or even carbon negative stable coins, right? Where it's actually actively drawing down carbon, you know,
you're offsetting
it's pulling more carbon into, you know, it's like, what if Osmosis was essentially pulling in more and more carbon into its own treasury, you know, and being able to then provide liquidity as a service out into the ecosystem through its relationship with Regen. You know, that's sort of like a hand wavy, like put our binoculars on and look out at the horizon kind of vision that I think, you know, the Regen team and the Osmosis team have gotten excited about together over, you know, different moments. So
yeah, I would say you haven't made it till you're carbon rich.
Exactly.
You know, I want a hybrid Lambo.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm a solar powered Zeppelin maxi. When it comes to like, what's the, you know, what's the vehicle?
The best way to get to the club is a solar powered Zeppelin.
Exactly.
You park it in the sky, dog.
Dude, you just go right down the rope, and you're set.
Just rappel in. That's a sweet picture of just the potential future. Obviously, like you said, we're putting on binoculars, but like you have to imagine it many times before it becomes a reality. So for me, like, I'm not the expert here. You obviously you know your stuff inside out, Greg. And I think you're gonna have to be a recurring guest because there's so much to unpack. But it just seems like one thing I would want for our community and osmosis, from where I'm coming from, is like to be able to keep encouraging, and I don't know if financing is the right way, but like allowing this kind of dialogue and these ideas to develop into things that are actually useful and functioning. And that might take some kind of R&D type of investment of the community pool, but like it seems like the benefits are going to outweigh the costs.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the Cosmos ecosystem is just so beautifully purpose built with its emphasis on sovereignty and interoperability. And Osmosis is really emerging as this sort of liquidity hub and community engagement engine.
Yeah.
But I see so many things just like lurking right outside. There's the team that put together the Klima Ohm fork running on the Cosmos SDK, and then you've got Nova DAO, starting to come together over on Evmos, and you have IXO, and you have Regen, and you have the Interchain Foundation has been funding this Earth mission, which we've been supporting pretty heavily. So, which focuses on like community currencies. You have all of these really cool things that I really think Cosmos is sort of the Cosmos ecosystem is turning into, in a lot of ways, one of the most welcoming places for people who want to do regenerative finance and sort of crypto for good. And it's such a natural fit, right? Because Cosmos Maxi is all about what's the right tool for the job and how do you most effectively align stakeholder incentives with the actual application logic, the consensus, the state machine. What does this blockchain do? You want that to sort of like have 100% overlap if possible. That's like the holy grail between like what the users need, right? And that's such a beautiful, that's so different in terms of design and architectural approach from like how Ethereum and Solana and other places work, and they're all optimizing for something else, and they're all cool. I mean, that's one of the nice things about being a Cosmos Maxi is we can look at all those places and be like, that's awesome. But it's different. Like Solana is optimized just for pure speed, but when you optimize just for pure speed, you don't get the kind of tooling that allows for full stakeholder governance over the blockchain,
right?
And decentralization,
kind of,
etc.
It does, games your validator set in a way. But we can look at these things, and I do think this like branding of being a center of gravity for public good, creating public good outcomes is a pretty. It's a cool. It's a cool spoiler to put on the back of your Lambo. It's a cool. I'm trying to,
totally.
It's a good signature, for
it's
Cosmos.
A sign on the side of the blimp,
Yeah, it's a good logo on the side of the blimp. I feel like we're depriving we've gone a little bit over our usual hour, but I think that's okay. But Sonny, do you have any thoughts on this? We may have lost Sonny. Okay, let's take
specifically?
A few questions. On the So of what we're talking about Regen's sort of the potential outcomes from having this DAO-to-DAO transfer, and then also kind of being an incubator for public goods focused projects.
I mean, I think this is really interesting. I'm gonna try to like leave it up to the community to figure out like cool ideas. I've been chatting with some friends from Blockchain at Berkeley, who they like to be like pretty involved with like different like governance stuff, so they're like pretty active with like Uniswap and Compound governance, and so they were asking like, hey, what's some like interesting stuff we can get involved with Osmosis?
Awesome.
And so I said, well, here's this big DAO-to-DAO grant that we need to figure out what to do with. You know, do you guys want to start coming up with some ideas for that? So, you know, hopefully we'll see some cool stuff soon.
That's great.
Epic.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing that. I do think that like these conversations, like some of them, they will happen organically when, you know, as we ramp up the use of the Commonwealth and get better and better at it. And hat tip to Eddie or Dynamic, who he did a makeover of Commonwealth, so it's looking better. But like, I also think that like we're gonna have to do some, I don't know, stimulating of these you know, like reaching out, trying to spark these conversations, incentivize them, figure out ways to get to mine good governance as well. I just want to say one thing. Somebody mentioned this. Eddie was messaging me about this. And I think it's important about the updates from the lab format. We are planning to relaunch next year with a pretty big upgrade where we're going to be doing this on YouTube, and it will still stream simultaneously to Twitter. But so folks, you know, stay posted for that. We plan to be stepping up updates from the lab to be a bit more like a podcast that you can listen to as well, you know, time shifted. But anyway, that was a little announcement.
That's rad.
Heads up.
So
yeah.
So streaming from YouTube over to Spaces for people who just want to pop in the moment.
Yep.
But being able to create an artifact that you can, you know, like, yeah, it's a little bit more durable. That's
yeah.
Great.
People can sink their teeth into, and for the callers that have it, they can, you know, video link in, and if not, we can just, you know, bring in the audio. And our plan is to curate more of that content, maybe chop it up, find moments, nuggets of gold or of carbon offset magic, and yeah, and bring it to the listeners in many different ways to be digested, because I feel like there's a lot of really exciting ideas that come up in these. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your
thanks
journey.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me 2 weeks in a row, and super stoked that the, you know, around just the whole Osmosis updates from the lab format up until now, and excited about it being innovated in the new year. It's rad. So yeah, and happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy solstice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Happy degening and happy regening.
Yeah. Happy regen, degening, and happy Festivus. Were there any questions? I know we were a little bit over here, but if anybody did have questions, I'm not sure if Loom is still, Fabrice still here. I don't see him, but were there any questions? This is our last chance.
Can I ask a question of Sunny?
Sunny, are you good for a question?
Yeah.
So, you use the word integration. This is the second week that you've used this word. And so as an old dev, am I hearing that there's going to be an additional topological addition to CosmWasm that allows a channel, for lack of a term, say directly between Terra and Osmosis without using IBC? Is that kind of what I'm reading into that?
No. So what happens is there's the IBC module, which is in the Cosmos SDK, and it handles all the connection and all the like client and all that kind of stuff that's needed for IBC.
Right.
Then on top of that, you have like different you know, protocols on top. So there's one called like CW20, ICS20, which is the token transfer one. And so there's a module in the Cosmos SDK called IBC-transfer. And this lets you move native coins between, it's the handler for it receives a packet or it sends a token transfer packet. But you can write other handlers other than that one. And so what the Confio team has done is they wrote a CosmWasm contract called CWICS20, which is a contract in CosmWasm that acts as a handler for a type of IBC message, and it allows you to send CW20 tokens over IBC. So it still uses the native IBC module, but it's a different data packet structure that for sending CW20 assets and receiving CW20 well, the receiving side's actually the same. It's just the sending side that's different. Then but then you can write more modules as well on top of that. So let's say we wanted to write a way of giving the Oracle data over IBC. We could have a module on the Osmosis side, and by module it could be a CosmWasm contract, which queries the AMM, what's the TWAP price, and it creates a outgoing IBC packet with that data, and then there could be a CosmWasm contract on the other side that receives that data and makes use of it. Does that make sense? Like, you can think of it, IBC as a system that's designed to build plugins on top of it. And, you can write these plugins in the Cosmos SDK as native modules, but you can also write them as CosmWasm contracts.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And I'm just trying to figure out if, other than an Oracle, kind of application, for lack of a term, is there, another application that I could design and write that use a feature like this? And that's kind of where I'm going. So I will thank you very much for this.
Sure. Like, another one could be, like, let's say we wanted to do swaps instantly, right? Where, like, currently the UX is people have to do the first IBC transfer. Let's say you wanted to convert Luna to UST, right? And you on Osmosis, right? What you could do is, you can make an IBC transfer on an account here, then do a transaction, then withdraw it. But, we could have a new ICS that is like, do a full swap and send back. So, in a single transaction, you just say, it'll send the Luna to Osmosis, do the swap, and take whatever the output amount is and send it right back to the same address. You can have that all happen in a CosmWasm contract. So instead of just encoding the amount that you're trying to send, you can also encode like, hey, so when you send that IBC message from Terra, you could encode like the amount as well as the output, what you want to trade it to, as well as the address to send it back to on Terra, and it could do all of that in one transaction.
I mean, that's a great example. But from like today's conversation with both Loom and Regen, I'll use a word, validation, okay, or like the validation of grape on the Solana system, right? If you're familiar with that, is
the validation of what, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Grape protocol on the Solana system.
Okay.
Is this kind of like they're trying to validate? It's kind of, is there a way to build a validation abstraction that would be, useful across all these different things? That's kind of where I'm thinking at the moment, but it doesn't mean I'm going to commit to that right today. But thank you so much for the answer.
Sure.
Thank you for the question. That went deep. Do we have maybe one or two more, and we can put a cork in updates for the year? Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions or hands up. If people do have a question, I think you can turn your mic on and ask it. Was that somebody?
I don't see any.
Okay. Well, this is this has been a good one. I think this has been a good one to end on. Really great interest. I mean, that last question from is it Marty? I can't. It gives me the first four letters of your name, so I'm guessing. Really interesting, detailed question from a developer. I think we do definitely want to have more developers, right? Who would be kind of coming on to see how they can tweak and employ this CosmWasm integration to do new things with Osmosis. Sonny, I'm looking for your confirmation on that to make sure I'm framing it.
Yes.
So yeah, developers, please keep brainstorming, like our previous questioner.
Yeah, and you can start building already. Like the version of CosmWasm that ends up landing on Osmosis, it has like some custom integrations for Osmosis, such as like the ability to do swap on the AMM and like issue native tokens. But like for the most part, like it's pretty similar to like the general CosmWasm that's already available on other platforms like Terra and stuff. So if you're looking for a something to do over winter break, maybe try learning some CosmWasm and playing around with it.
Awesome.
For anyone who doesn't know, Ethereum started as a Gavin Wood like built the first MVP of Ethereum as a fun side project over his winter break. So if anyone needs some inspiration there.
Yeah, we need let's outdo Gavin Wood for Cosmos. Awesome. I did not know that, and I think that I would like to see what kind of winter break projects developers work on for our ecosystem. So until then, or until next year, thank you everybody for tuning in and for tuning in. If you've listened to updates consistently, please keep tuning in. We will be back, I guess, on January the 5th. That would be the first Wednesday, and that's the same day that we're going to have later at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That day we'll have a community town hall for Osmosis with Sunny, myself, and other members of the community support DAO. So there'll be more about that. We definitely want to hear. The clawback party was super fun, but we didn't get to have the community on the mic as much, and we're going to ensure that is possible in January. So thanks everybody. Thanks Dynamic, Sunny, Greg, and Fabrice, if I'm saying that correctly. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Have a happy holiday and a happy new year. And we'll catch you guys in the Matrix. Oh, whoops. Hey, stop. Alexa, stop.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.